Today is Thursday, July 27th, and we're talking to our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello at the New York Post. Brian, are you staying cool out there, man?
Yeah, it was a tough one today, Ryan. It was hot and felt like there was a different jet story popping every half hour today. I
It
haven't
was, it,
I haven't had a day
yeah.
like this in a while.
Let me tell you that it was very hot. There was a lot of stuff, like you said, that we want to talk about, and that's why I wanted to speak to you about the top stories that are going on. But I wanted to start off with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, the big news came out yesterday that he signed and reworked his deal with the New York Jets, a 2-year deal for 75 million. There's a lot that goes into this deal. We heard the rumors that the deal was going to be, restructured after he came over in the trade to
Mhm.
the Jets. And Brian, it seems like Rodgers has seemed to buy in that he's going to be here more than just 1 year, and it gives the team some financial flexibility. It seems like, considering you look at the cap hits for this year and next year aren't that high. So when you're looking at this structure of this new deal that he has, what'd you make of it?
Yeah, he's all in. I mean, this was the question we kind of had in January, February, March when we were discussing whether before the Rogers trade happened was, will he be here for the spring? Does he want to be here beyond 1 year? Are the Jets really going to give all this up for a 1 year run where I think most of us think they're one player away from the playoffs, but probably not one player away from winning a Super Bowl that right now. They still had work to do. So that was the question. And he showed he is. I mean, everything he's done so far has been everything the Jets could ask. And this was a major one, obviously, walking away from $33 million or whatever it was total. I mean, that shows his commitment here, and he's going to be here next year. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the only way he's not here next year, Ryan, is if there's one extreme or the other. They win a
Mm.
Super Bowl, he walks away, but I think Jets fans are fine with with that. Or if this is a complete disaster and everyone he knows gets fired, then maybe he walks away from that. But I think anywhere in the middle, he's going to be back next year. And if his body holds up, he'll be back. So the Jets and their fans have to be thrilled with the way Rodgers has really shown he wants to be here and has bought into the Jets.
And just a real follow up here for you, Kaz. Covering Rodgers thus far, like you said, we heard all about how much would he be buying into this team. Are you surprised in how much he is bought in? Attending all the off-season workouts. He seems to have fully bought in. He's bringing up some of these young guys. He talked about Zach Wilson and helping him. I mean, it really is. He is all in on the New York Jets right now.
Yeah, I was surprised, Ryan, at how all in he was in the spring because that's a time when veterans don't really love being there. He even said the other day, spring is really more about the young players. He felt it was necessary to be there this year to sort of forge relationships and get to know his new team. I wouldn't be shocked if next spring he's not around as much, but he, it's you watch a guy like Aaron Rodgers from afar, right? And you
Mm.
hear about him and stuff, and he has a certain reputation, but he's been everything the Jets could ask for so far. Everything he's done has been no perfect for the Jets. He said all the right things. He's done all the right things. They have to be thrilled with the way this has worked out so far.
Yeah, and I think another part of this thing with Aaron Rodgers is I think he's bought into, he has somewhat, not what it's, I wouldn't say a say, but maybe an influence on some of these roster decisions and supporting cast around him. And I think he has to earn that respect from the front office. So when he signed this new restructured deal, it gives them financial flexibility, like I talked about. We get the news today that, or last night into early morning, Dalvin Cook is now coming to visit the Jets this weekend. There was rumors this offseason, his interest and where he'd like to sign. So what do you think about Dalvin Cook coming for a visit to New York?
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows they're a destination right now. I'm not sure if Cook, if the Cook is really interested in the Jets, if Cook is using the Jets to get more money out of somewhere else. I'm always suspicious, Ryan, when we find out about these visits in advance.
Mm.
That to me smells like an agent leaking it to get more money from somebody else. Remember, Odell Beckham was going to visit the Jets in April, and then all of a sudden he signed with the Ravens, right? So
Yeah.
usually you find out about these visits when they're happening or have happened. If they come out in advance, I'm always a little suspicious. So yeah, I think there's some operating going on by Dalvin's agent right now, trying to get more money, which that's his job, and I'm not criticizing him. That's what he should do. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have mixed feelings on Cook is a good player. I don't know. I feel like the Jets have a pretty good running back room. If Brees Hall is coming
Mm.
back, like they said, I'm not sure you want to disrupt that. I think I still believe in Michael Carter. I think Bam Knight and the rookie from Pittsburgh have shown some good things in
Is
training.
he? Yeah.
Yep, they've shown good things in training camp. we've lived this whole Saquon thing in New York, right? And
Yeah.
what that really is about, it's not about teams don't care about running backs anymore. It's that you can find younger running backs who maybe are not 100% of Dalvin Cook or Saquon Barkley, but they're going to cost you a lot less money, and maybe they're 75% of Dalvin
Mm.
Cook, Saquon Barkley, and you can live with that. So I'm not sure, whether they I have mixed feelings about whether they should do it, but having in for a visit is no harm.
Yeah, and Jets head coach Robert Saleh was asked about Dalvin Cook coming into a visit, and he said, "Listen, you can't turn away from good players, and you have to always look at them and see if it's worth pursuing." And that wasn't the only thing Robert Saleh talked about today. Like you said, there was a lot of stories that came out.
A lot of
You know,
stuff.
sh- I said out loud, Sean Payton chose chaos this morning when that article came out with the USA Today, where he spoke about last year's Denver Broncos team before he became the head coach this offseason. And I think he was defending his guy, Russell Wilson, his quarterback, and the lot of heat that he took from last year and how much the team struggled. He threw a lot of jabs at the coaching staff. He said it was one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history. But then he also talked about the New York Jets and the offseason hoopla and everything that
Yep.
came and bringing in that quarterback. And now you got Hard Knocks. And I've seen it blow up in other teams' faces. And he compared it to the Washington Commanders and Daniel Snyder. So, Kaz, I got to ask you, man, what are you making of Salah's comments going back at, he didn't really want to say, I'm not going to, say anything bad about Sean. He's been in the league forever and he could say what he wants. But what did you make of Salah's comments, in response to Sean Payton's jabs today?
Yeah, I thought Salah handled it well. I don't think you want to get in the mud. Ryan, I can't wait for that week in October. Right? Like I that's how the reporter's brain works. I said, all right, I know what I'm writing that week. That's going to be fun, and that's going to be a huge game now, right? Which Jets and Broncos in October wouldn't have been that big. I mean, the Nathaniel Hackett storyline would have been there anyway, but now it's huge. And I'm shocked that Sean Payton said that on the record about
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett, the worst coaching job. I agree with you. He's trying to build up Russell Wilson, but he didn't have to go that far. And Ryan, I've covered a lot of coaching changes with the Jets and GM changes. The new guys always blame the old guys, right? They
Mm.
privately, they always say, "Oh my god, I can't believe how horrible this place was, or how the roster's terrible. They did this, they did that. I'm changing this." Like that's the way it works. They
Mhm.
never say that publicly, though,
No.
right? Because there's a kind of just an unspoken code of respect. Robert Saleh did not trash Adam Gase when he walked in the door. Adam Gase did not trash Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles did not trash Rex Ryan. They they don't do that. And whether, privately, I'm sure all those guys believe the last guy really screwed this up. And so I don't know what Sean Payton was doing there. I mean, he's been around long enough that he didn't do that by mistake. So yeah, I mean, he's pumping his guy up, but I thought he went a little too far. And I was surprised the going after the Jets too. The Jets, winning the offseason, I agree with him. Winning the offseason usually doesn't mean much, but I'm not sure the Jets. I think trading for Aaron Rodgers is not the same as signing an old Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith and
Oh,
what
yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
And the Jets didn't ask for Hard Knocks. They fought tooth and nail to not be on Hard
Right.
Knocks, and the NFL forced
Right.
them to be on that. So I don't think you can blame the Jets here for being attention. I'll use the word grabbers instead of what I want to say. But yeah, I was kind of surprised at what he said.
And Salah even said, if you ain't got haters, you gotta be popping. I thought
Yeah.
he was great about it. He's like, listen, man, like we understand the attention that we recognize it. We know it's going to be on us, but we haven't. The Jets have been stuck in absolute misery the past decade. And when you talk about the franchise, so yeah, they're going to get the attention. But like you said, like, they didn't want Hard Knocks. They wanted the quarterback. They got the quarterback that they wanted, and it took a while, but it happened. So I don't know. Like I felt like that Sean Payton, it just chose chaos this morning, and I don't know why. But
I'm sure that people in that building in Denver have a lot of bad things to say about Nathaniel Hackett. And I'm sure since Sean Payton's been there, he's heard a lot of bad things about Nathaniel Hackett. That's how it works. It's so funny because the people that defend a coach and GM, they spend all this time defending them. The minute they're gone, they blame them for everything. That's usually how
uh,
it is. So I'm sure he's heard a lot of bad stuff, but why he decided to go public with it, I'll never know. And I saw some of the Broncos beat writers saying he's all he said to them is he doesn't want to talk about last year. He's not looking in the rearview mirror. And then all of a sudden he unloaded to USA Today and Jarrett Bell, and good for Jarrett for getting those
yeah,
quotes.
yeah, and it was the most talked about thing in the NFL world, other than the injuries we saw today, which was another
Yeah.
scary thing. Obviously, Garrett Wilson. Real quick, Garrett Wilson. Salah said he seemed to be okay, even though he
Yeah.
rolled up on his ankle.
It looked like a rolled ankle to me. I watched the video, a fan shot from I saw it live and didn't really see it. And then the fans showed the video. It looked like he just rolled his ankle. So I wouldn't be too worried.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk to you about here is your biggest takeaways thus far. We're a week and a half into this thing. That Hall of Fame game's creeping up already. So what is your biggest takeaway from Jets training camp thus far?
I mean, obviously Rodgers it's different with Rodgers, and that's been the biggest thing. But if I had to go a little deeper, like into the team, I think the offensive line has to be what you're worried about, Ryan. I wrote about that in the post. That to me is what can derail this team. And there's high hopes here, and the defense looks like it's going to be very good. The defensive line is crazy good. Obviously, Rodgers brings a lot of change to the offense, but they're shaky on the offensive line, especially at tackle right now. I couldn't tell you who the starting tackles are going to be. And, the good news for them is it's July 27th. It's a
July
long,
27th.
they have a
Yep.
long time before September 11th before the game counts. So they got time to figure it out. But early on, it's just something I'm watching, and I think they got to figure it out in the next 4 weeks, or that could be what dooms them this season.
Well, Brian, we're looking forward to seeing you covering, obviously, as training camp keeps going on here. Like I said, that Hall of Fame game sneaking up here, and appreciate you as always, man, for all this news.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.